The twin suns of Taurus V burned the sky red. Dust covered everything. Old machines stood still. The air smelled like rust, smoke, and fear. In the center of the mining camp, a crowd had gathered. All eyes were on the stage, a metal platform, where chains clinked and boots stomped. A loudspeaker cracked to life. "Next!" shouted the auctioneer. Alien female, unknown species, strong build, healthy. Starting price, 1 credit. The crowd laughed. 1 credit? That's it? Someone joked. "She must be useless," another man said. "Probably broken inside." She stood still, the alien woman. Her arms were thin, but her back was straight. Her skin was pale with a silver glow. Strange markings ran along her face and neck, like soft tattoos made of light. Her eyes didn't blink. She didn't cry. She just stared forward, quiet and calm. Her name was Clara. But no one here cared about that dot in the back of the crowd. A man watched silently. He was human, tall, dirty, with a tired face and rough hands. His name was Jace Wren, just another miner on Taurus V, a nobody. But something about her made him stop. He had seen aliens before, angry ones, wild ones, some even crying for help. But this one was silent, like she had already seen the end of the world. The auctioneer slammed the gavel. "Sold, 1 credit." The buyer was a tall man in black armor, a supervisor from the mines. 2 guards grabbed Clara and pulled her down from the platform. Chains rattled. Her feet dragged in the dust. No one cared except Jace. That night, he couldn't sleep. He sat in his small bunk, staring at the cracked ceiling. Around him, other miners snored. Fans buzzed. The lights flickered. 1 credit. He whispered. That wasn't normal. Even broken machines sold for more than that. So why? The next day, Jace asked around. "Hey, that alien girl," he said to a coworker. "Why was she so cheap?" The man shrugged. "She's not strong. Didn't even fight back." Another miner added, "She's quiet. Creepy too. People say she doesn't sleep, just sits there, watching." They laughed. Jace didn single quotes T. Later, during his shift, he walked near shaft 17, the deepest part of the mine. Dangerous and dark. Even the guards didn't like going down there. But now, that's where she was. He saw her for just a second. Clara was sitting on the ground, chains around her wrists, glowing faintly in the shadows. Her head was down. But then, she looked up. Her silver eyes locked onto his. Jace froze. She didn't speak. But somehow it felt like she did. He quickly walked away. But her eyes stayed in his mind, like they were trying to tell him something. Later that night, he made a decision. He took a flashlight, a small toolkit, and quietly made his way back to shaft 17. No guards. No sound, just the faint hum of machines. And something else. Breathing. T single quotes Lara was still there. Still sitting. Still awake. Jace stepped closer. "Hey," he whispered. "Can you hear me?" She didn't answer. He kneeled beside her, looking at the chains. They weren't normal. They had strange lines on them, like wires mixed with bone. Alive and cold. Reached out to touch them. Suddenly, her hand grabbed his wrist. Her touch was cold, but her grip was strong. She looked into his eyes. Her voice was soft but clear. "Don't touch the chains," she said. "They are alive." Jace pulled his hand back, shocked. "What do you mean? They're just metal." Clara slowly shook her head. "They feed on energy. They feed on me." Jace looked at the glowing marks on her skin. They pulsed, in sync with the chains. "What are you?" he asked. She didn't answer, only stared at the darkness around her. Then she whispered, "They didn't buy me to work. They bought and need a burn." Jace felt cold all over. He stood up slowly, looking at the chains again. Not metal, not machine. Something worse. Why only 1 credit? He asked aloud, almost to himself. Clara didn't move, but in the shadows, something moved behind her, like a whisper. Like smoke. A shape. Jace, he backed away. I'll come back, he said. I'll help you. Still, she said nothing. He turned and ran, heart pounding, dust kicking up behind him, and in the mine. The chains pulsed, as if they were breathing. Jace Wren had worked in the mines for 6 long years. He thought he had seen everything, but after last night, he knew that wasn't true anymore. He couldn't forget the look in her eyes, the alien woman, Clara. Her eyes were not just watching him. They were warning him. All morning, he tried to act normal. Pickaxe in hand, helmet on, same old tunnels. But his thoughts were not with the rocks. They were still with her. In the dark, "Hey Jace," a voice called. It was Kilo, another miner. Tall, loud, always chewing metal gum. "You look sick, man. Dream about a space dragon or something?" Jace forced a smile. "No, just a weird night," Kilo laughed. "You think too much. On this planet, thinking gets you killed." Jace nodded. But deep inside, he was already thinking too much. He had a question stuck in his mind. Why was she sold for just 1 credit? After work, he went to the mess hall. Metal benches, bad food, tired faces. He sat near a group of off-duty workers. "Remember that alien girl?" he asked, like it was just a random thought. Someone grunted. "The silver-eyed one?" "Yeah. The one sold for 1 credit. An older man laughed. "You still thinking about that? She's nothing. I heard she doesn't eat. Just stares at the wall." Another added, "She gives me the creeps. Like she's reading your soul." Jace leaned forward. "Where did she come from? Anyone know?" Silence. Then someone muttered, "Doesn't matter. She's just another freak." From the black zone. Jace stood up and walked out. He had heard enough, but he hadn't heard the truth. That night, Jace didn't go back to his bunk. He took a detour, past the sleeping quarters, past the engine room, back to shaft 17. It was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that hums in your ears. He slipped inside through a broken gate. The walls were wet. The lights above blinked. Like dying stars. She was there. Still in chains, still awake. Still watching. T single quotes Lara. This time, she spoke first. "You came back." Jace nodded, stepping closer. "I had questions," he said. "No one has answers." Clara looked up. Her voice was soft. "That is because they are afraid of the answers." Jace sat near her, careful not to touch the chains. "What are you?" he asked. "Why did they buy you?" She looked down. "My people were once free. We traveled the stars. We didn't use metal to build. We used light." Jace blinked. "That sounds like magic." Clara smiled faintly. "To you, maybe. To us, it was life." He stared at her glowing skin. The way the markings shimmered, like something deep inside her was alive. Jace whispered, "You're not a slave, are you?" She turned her head. "No," she said. "I am a battery." Jace felt his stomach twist. "What do you mean?" Clara slowly raised her chained hands. "These are not normal chains. They were built using stolen tech from my world. They feed on my light, on my life." Jace stared, shocked. "That's why they keep you down here," she nodded. "They don't want me to escape. But they don't want me to die either. As long as I'm alive, their machines keep running." A low hum filled the air, the sound of the mine's core systems. Jace had always thought it was just the generators, but now he wasn't so sure. He stood up, heart pounding. "This is wrong," he said. "You're alive, you're not some tool." Clara tilted her head, curious. "Why do you care?" Jace didn't answer right away. He just looked into her silver eyes. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was something else. But he knew one thing for sure. He couldn't walk away again. Suddenly, a loud screech echoed through the shaft. Lights flickered. The floor shook. A warning alarm buzzed faintly in the distance. Clara's eyes widened. "They know you're here." Jace backed up. "What do I do?" She looked at him serious. "Next time, bring fire." Before he could ask what she meant, the shaft door slammed shut behind him. Locked back in his bunk later that night. Jace sat in the dark, shaking. His hands were still dirty, but it wasn't from mining. He knew the truth now. This wasn't just a mine. It was a prison, and she was the light that kept it running. The chains were not metal. That's what Jace kept repeating in his mind. They moved when no one touched them. They whispered when no one spoke. They were alive. It had been 3 nights since he last saw her, the alien girl. Clara, since she grabbed his wrist and warned him, "Don't touch the chains." They are alive. Jace hadn't slept since then. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw them, glowing, writhing, breathing, like snakes made of wires and bone. But the worst part? He was starting to hear them, too. At first, it was a soft sound, like wind blowing through broken pipes. Then, words, not in English, not in any human tongue. Just sounds that felt like meaning, heavy, cold, wrong. He needed answers. Real answers. So this time, he brought something new. A small scanner, illegal tech, black market stuff. It could read energy signatures, scan heat, and detect hidden tech. Perfect for mining. And for finding out what the hell those chains were made of. He returned to Shaft 17, past the broken gate, past the locked doors. But when he got there, Clara was gone. Only the chains remained, hanging from the ceiling, twisted into the floor. The place was colder now. The hum of the mine had gone quiet. Like something was waiting. Jay stepped inside. The scanner beeped the moment he entered. The screen flashed red. Warning, biotech detected, unknown signal. He moved closer to the chains. They were twitching, moving slightly. Not fast, not angry, but breathing. He aimed the scanner at them again. The data made no sense. They had a pulse, a temperature, a neural pattern, like a living brain. Jace's hand shook. These weren't just tools, they were feeding. Suddenly, a voice behind him. "Still chasing ghosts, miner?" Jace spun around. It was Supervisor Grend, the man who had bought Clara at the auction. Cold eyes, black armor, voice like gravel. "I was just—" Jace stammered. Grend stepped forward. "Looking for her?" He smirked. "She's useful, isn't she?" Jace clenched his fists. "She's alive. She's not a machine." Grend laughed. "Oh, she's more than alive. She's power." He walked toward the chains, placing his hand on them without fear. They curled gently around his fingers. "Her kind was born from stars," Grend said. "They carry energy inside them, like a sun in a bottle." Jace's voice rose. "Then why chain her? Why trap her here?" Grend looked at him. "Because you don't plug a sun into a wall. You trap it, and you feed on it until it dies." Jace was done talking. He stepped forward. "Where is she?" Grend didn't answer. But his eyes said it all. She was still here. Not far, still chained. Still burning. Suddenly, the lights above exploded, sparks flying. The chains snapped forward, striking the walls like lightning. The mine shook. From deep inside the darkness, a soft voice echoed, "Jace." He turned. Clara was there, barely standing. Her body flickering with light, like a dying star. The chains were wrapped tight around her chest. Her eyes were glowing but dim. Jace ran to her. "Clara, I'll get you out of here." She shook her head. "You can't break them with tools." "Then how?" She looked at him with pain. "And power. They feed on fear, on weakness, on silence." Jace looked down at the scanner. It was glitching, melting from the heat. He looked back up at her, and something inside him shifted. This wasn't about strength. It was about will. He stepped forward and placed his hands on the chains. Pain shot through his arms, burning. screaming pain, but he didn't let go. The chains hissed, snapped, twisted. They didn't like him, because he wasn't afraid anymore. Then, a sound like thunder. One chain shattered, turning into dust and sparks. Clara gasped, falling forward. Jace caught her. Behind them, Gren screamed, "Nitrogen monoxide!" More chains writhed, like they were alive and dying at the same time. Jace stood, holding Clara in his arms. Her light was growing stronger again, not because of the chains, because someone finally chose to fight back. The alarm was still. Ringing red lights flashed through the mine tunnels like angry eyes. Smoke hissed from the broken chains. Metal groaned. The walls shook. And in the middle of it all, Jace stood with Clara in his arms. Her skin flickered like fire under ice. Her breathing was slow but steady. The chains had lost their grip, but not their hunger. What was left of them crawled back into the walls, whispering threats in a language too old to name. Jace looked at her. "Can you walk?" Clara opened her eyes, glowing softly. "I can fly," she said. But not yet. They had minutes. Maybe seconds. Jace helped her stand. She leaned against him, still weak but alive. Behind them, voices shouted. Guards, miners, machines. The system knew. It had lost its battery, and it wanted her back. Jace scanned the tunnel ahead. Shaft 17 led deep underground, but above, up past the old vents, there was a forgotten emergency passage. He had seen it once, during a collapse. No cameras, no patrols. Just old stairs and darkness. "This way," he said. Clara nodded. "I remember this path. My people used it, long ago." Jace blinked. "You've been here before?" She didn't answer. Just walked. As they moved through the old tunnel, the lights behind them died one by one. Darkness chased their footsteps. Clara touched the walls. Her markings lit up softly, lines of silver-blue light, revealing forgotten symbols. Old writing. Not human. Not from this galaxy. J.A. stopped. "What is this place?" Clara's voice was almost a whisper. "This was once a temple. Before it became a prison." "A temple? On a mining planet?" She nodded. "We came to protect this world. Long ago. But humans dug too deep." Suddenly, a loud mechanical growl echoed through the tunnel. Jace turned fast. A shadow moved behind them. Big, heavy, metal, alive. From the smoke came a mining drone, but not like any he'd seen before. This one had 6 legs, red sensors, and Clara's chains wrapped around its arms like armor. It wasn't mining anymore. It was hunting. The drone charged. Jace grabbed Clara. "Run!" They sprinted down the hall, her feet barely touching the ground. The drone smashed through stone, its claws scraping sparks. It screamed in a mix of engine roars and alien sounds, the same whispers the chains had made. "It's not just metal," Clara said. "It's part of the chain now." Jace saw an old elevator shaft ahead. Up there, they jumped into the narrow shaft. Jace began climbing the old ladder, one hand gripping, the other pulling Clara up behind him. The drone didn't follow. Not yet. It waited below. Watching. Smiling with no mouth. Halfway up, the wall beside them lit up. Glowing symbols, pulsing with Clara's energy. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the stone. Not hers, not Jace's, but herself, from long ago. "To the protectors of the gate, if you hear this, I have failed. They found me. They took my light. They turned me into a tool. But one day, someone will come. Not a soldier, not a king. A human, just one human. Who remembers how to care." Jace stopped climbing. His heart was pounding. He looked down at her. Clara looked surprised. "That's me," she said. "A memory I didn't know I had." The elevator shaft shook. The drone was coming up now, crawling the walls like an insect. Jace pushed harder. "We're almost there." He reached the top, kicked open a rusted door, and pulled her through. They fell onto cold stone above them. Moonlight dot the surface. They had made it, but they weren't safe yet. The drone burst through the floor behind them. It screamed again, not with sound, but with pain. The chains wrapped tighter around its body, glowing red, as if feeding off its rage. Clara stood slowly. She looked at Jace. This place once gave life. Now it takes it. It's time to return what was stolen. Her hands lit up. Not with fire, but with light. Pure, clear, beautiful. She raised her arms. The symbols on the ground responded. The drone froze, shaking. Then boom, a burst of light shot through the ground. The chains burned. The drone melted from the inside. Not destroyed, but set free. Its pieces fell. Quiet. Silence returned. Clara collapsed. Jace caught her. You okay? She nodded, breathing deeply. I'm not free yet, she said. But I remember who I am now. Jace looked out over the dead horizon. The mine behind them was still running. The system would come again, but something had changed, not just in the chains, not just in single quotes Lara. In him. He wasn't just a miner anymore. He was part of something greater. And the fight had just begun. The stars above Taurus 5 looked different now. Brighter. Closer. Almost watching. Jay stood beside Clara on the cold surface, wind brushing dust across their feet. The mine was far behind them, but its hum still echoed under the ground. A reminder that it wasn't finished. Not yet. Clara had destroyed the drone. But something inside her had changed too. She wasn't glowing as much. She looked weaker. Like a light. Slowly fading. We need to find help, Jay said. Somewhere safe. Clara shook her head slowly. There is no safety. Not until I remember. Remember what? She looked toward the north. A ridge of broken stone and rusted towers. There is something buried here, she said. A place I once knew. They traveled on foot through the wasteland. Old mining towers lay fallen like skeletons. Craters scarred the land. Machines rusted in silence, and then they found it. A circle of stone, alien writing carved into it. Metal vines grew from the ground like veins. Clara stepped forward. This is it, she said. The memory core. Jace raised an eyebrow. What's that? Some kind of computer? No, she whispered. It's older than that. It remembers what I've forgotten. She placed her hand on the stone. The markings lit up, bright blue. The wind stopped. The dust floated in the air like time had paused. Then a voice. Not hers, not Jace's, a chorus. A memory. Designation. Clara. Guardian of light. Last of the ninth seed. Mission. Protect the source. Preserve the knowledge. Await return. Jace stepped back. What is this? Clara's eyes were glowing again, brighter now. This world wasn't just a mine, she said softly. It was a vault. A vault? Jace asked. She nodded. My people didn't come here to take. We came to hide something. The wind picked up again. Sparks flew from the metal vines. The ground beneath them shifted, and a platform rose. Slowly from the earth, on it, a black orb, floating, humming. Clara stepped closer. This is my memory, she said. Not just mine, all of us. She touched the orb. A wave of light shot out, not blinding, but deep. Like sound turned into color. Jace saw flashes, ships flying through galaxies, beings made of light walking among stars. A war, terrible, burning, endless. And Clara, standing before a council, alone. Her voice echoed from the vision. I will hide this spark where no one will find it. I will sleep. I will wait. The vision faded. Clara fell to her knees. I was not sold, she said. I came here by choice. Jace didn't understand. What do you mean? They didn't find me. I let them find me, she said, because I forgot who I was. That was the cost of hiding the truth. Jace helped her stand. So what now? She turned to him. Now, I remember. And that means they will come. Suddenly, the orb cracked. Energy leaked from it like gas, glowing and cold. Jace pulled her back. What's happening? Clara's face went pale. The vault. It's not just memories. It's a signal. Signal to who? She looked at the sky, to the ones we were hiding from. The wind turned sharp. The ground trembled. And from deep below came a sound that didn't belong to machines. A pulse. Heavy. Hungry. Jace turned to her. We need to destroy it. Clara shook her head. If we destroy it, we lose everything. My people's history, the key to stopping them. Then what do we do? She looked at him, eyes steady. Voice calm. We fight. But this time, not just to escape. This time, we fight for the galaxy. Far above, in the quiet black sky. A light blinked. A ship. Then another. And another. They had heard the signal. They were coming. Asterisk. The sky over Taurus 5 had changed. What was once quiet and empty now shimmered with silent lights, not stars, not ships, eyes. They were watching. Clara sat at the edge of the broken memory core, her eyes closed. Her markings dimmed and pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat trying to restart. Jace sat beside her, not speaking, not asking. He knew this wasn't the time for questions, but his chest was heavy with one anyway. What happens now? Clara finally opened her eyes. I remember everything now, she said. Jace nodded, but didn't look at her. And is that a good thing? She didn't answer right away. Then quietly, no. She stood and walked toward the broken platform where the orb had cracked and released its signal. You think chains are only metal? She said, some chains are made of memory. She looked at the ground, at the old carvings, the buried power lines, the hidden symbols now glowing with weak light. My people chained me too, Jace. They gave me a mission to protect the last spark of our knowledge. And they left you? He asked. Clara smiled, but it was a sad smile. No, they buried me. With no way back. Jace walked to her side. You didn't deserve that, he said. She looked up at him. But I agreed to it. That's the hardest chain to break, the ones you put on yourself. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air. Not from the mine. Not from the memory core, from above. Jace turned his eyes to the sky. Ship. Long. Silent. No lights. It drifted down like a shadow, cutting across the sky without sound. Another followed, and another. Then a voice, mechanical, deep, echoing inside. Their minds. Signal confirmed. Target located. Memory bearer detected. Prepare for extraction. Clara's face went still. I know that voice, she whispered. They were the first to betray us. We called them the Hollow. They're AI? Jace asked. No, she said. They are worse. They are what happens when memory lives too long and loses its soul. A beam of cold light fell from the nearest ship, scanning the ground. Clara winced. They're not here to destroy me. They want to take me back, reconnect me, use me. Why? Jace asked. Because I remember something they don't. Something they need. Jace took a step forward. Then we run. Clara looked at him, really looked at him. No, she said. This time I don't run. He frowned. Lara. She stepped away, her body glowing brighter now, but her face pale. You freed me from metal chains, she said. Now I have to free myself from the old ones. By staying here? He said, voice shaking. By facing them, she replied. Alone. Jace clenched his fists. And what was all this for? You survived. We escaped. We saw the truth, and now you're just going to give up? Her voice didn't rise. It softened. I'm not giving up, Jace. I'm giving everything. The ships landed. Dust flew like fire in the wind. The sky cracked with strange blue. Light. Out of the ship came. Figures tall, thin, robes of light and bone, but their faces were empty. Not blank, empty. No eyes. No mouths. Just smooth skin where identity should be. The hollow. They moved slowly toward her. Lara turned to Jace one last time. Your world will be next. Unless this ends now. Then let me fight with you. She stepped forward, reaching toward his chest. Her hand glowed, and from it, a small spark passed into him. A tiny piece of her memory. You already are, she said. What is this? A key. You'll know when the time comes. The hollow raised their hands. Light beams circled Lara. She stood tall, alone, unchained, and just before the light swallowed her, she looked at Jace and said, "Don't let them rewrite me." Then she was gone. The ships vanished into the sky, silent and fast, and Jace was left, standing in the dust, holding a memory that wasn't his, and a war that had just begun. The desert wind had stopped. The sky over Taurus 5 was silent again. No ships, no light, no voice. Tara was gone, but she wasn't lost, because now she lived inside him. Jace stood alone at the old memory site. Dust moved around his boots like whispers. He still felt the spark she had placed in him, warm, deep in his chest. Not a fire, not pain, but weight. The kind of weight you carry when someone believes in you. He walked. Days passed. He passed broken towers, rusted machines, and dead drones. The mind still buzzed in the distance, unaware of what had just happened. The galaxy had changed, and no one even knew. Not yet. Inside the old workers' camp, no one asked questions. No one noticed how quiet Jace had become, or how his eyes looked not at the ground anymore, but at the stars. At night, when the others slept, Jace would sit alone, and he would hear her voice. Soft, calm, not sad. You are the memory now. But the hollow. They weren't finished. He knew this. They would return. They always return. Rewrite history. They turn light into tools, people into machines, hope into power. But now, something was different. Now, someone remembered the truth. One evening, while walking near the old mine core, the spark inside Jace pulsed. It pulled him downward. Into the tunnels, past the warning signs, past the broken chains. To the place where he first saw her. The chains were gone now, but the ground had changed. A symbol glowed in the dirt. Clara's symbol, the mark of the 9th seed. When Jace stepped onto it, a hum began. The walls lit up. A hidden terminal rose from the ground. The spark inside him glowed brighter. Key recognized. Do you wish to activate Legacy Protocol? Jace stared at the screen. He didn't fully understand, but he didn't need to. Wasn't a scientist. He wasn't a soldier. He was just a miner. Just one human. He placed his hand on the console. The memory inside him unfolded. A message from Clara, left in code and light. The hollow rewrites stories, but this one must be remembered. You will carry it forward. You will be the proof that humans still feel, still choose, still fight. With a breath, Jace pressed yes. The mine lit up with blue light, not fire, not machines. But truth. The truth that Clara died protecting. The truth that someone, even just one, had said, "This is wrong. I will stop it." Across the galaxy, satellites blinked. Sensors triggered. The hollow felt the breach. Their silence was broken. The lie had cracked. Jace stepped out of the mine. The stars above him were no longer just lights. They were roots. Warnings. Possibilities. Back in the worker camp, someone asked him, "Where were you?" Jace just smiled. "Digging up the past," he said, "and planting the future." One credit had bought her. One chain had bound her. One human broke them all, not because he was chosen, not because he was strong, but because he chose to care. And in a galaxy full of silence, That was the loudest sound of all.